Evita, the chains of the masses untied.
Peter, let's talk about Evita a little bit. Tell me about Tim Rice's lyrics.
Oh, they're very perceptive. I wish that he would rhyme correctly, but as a lyricist, he really does get into the meat of the matter. My favorite example is in High Flying Adored, in which Ava is going easy on what she's accomplished. Oh, I was in the right place at the right time, so on and so forth. She's using all those analogies, but at the very end, she can't let it go. She has to say, "But one thing I'll say for me." And that's what she's been wanting to do all along. She wants to give herself credit. So after saying, "Oh, I was lucky," et cetera, et cetera, my story has been told 1,000 times before. But one thing I'll say for me, and that's very significant. Tim Rice went on record, though, saying the one thing he wanted to do that he could never figure out was the sequence when she meets the admiral, and he calls she's called a whore, and he says, "Well, I gave up the sea long ago, but I'm still an admiral." Tim Rice said he wished he could have put that into actual lyrics, but he never could. Still, his achievement is pretty good, especially at the end when you have that line Evita sings, and I'll admit the music helps it too. "Remember, I was very young then." And indeed, she was. I mean, she didn't live remotely as long as most people do, not remotely. But to say, "Remember, I was very young then," we can all relate to that because we all make youthful mistakes. We make non-youthful mistakes too, but we certainly make youthful mistakes. And we have to have some sympathy for her because we really understand what she means because we can look back at our youthful mistakes. So that was really very effective as well. So he did a fine job, even though, as I say, he doesn't care about perfect rhymes. I wish he would. If he did, boy, he'd be one of the all-time greats, though you'll, of course, find people who say that anyway.
I find the best song in the show, strangely, Another Suitcase in Another Hall, not sung by Evita, sung by this really, really minor character. What are your thoughts about that moment?
Stephen Schwartz says it best. He says, "You're thinking, why are we spending time with this woman who's being dismissed?" And he said, this is one of the times when you really have to say to yourself, "Oh, but it's such a beautiful song. All right, it's a divertissement. If it wasn't there, nobody'd say, wait, what's happening with the girl that's being thrown out?" No, it wouldn't happen at all. But it's certainly something that scores for many people because it's such a pretty song. There was a time when that would have been cut on the road because it's not necessary to the plot. But one has to wonder, here we are in 1979, 1980, and Hal Prince has, really done very well during the 70s. Andrew Lloyd Webber is starting to do well in the 70s. Jesus Christ Superstar on Broadway in 71. But he doesn't quite have the power yet that he certainly would. Hal Prince had the power there. He was the muscle, as they say on the show. So one has to wonder what the conversations were about that song. Did Hal Prince say, "No, leave it in"? Or did Andrew Lloyd Webber say, "If I don't get that song, you can't have the others. We're not going to do the show"? Who knows? I've never heard anything on that, but that is a question worth asking, and see if anybody does know the answer to that, because it is extraneous, but a lot of us wouldn't trade the experience of hearing that song.
Peter Felicia's Broadway appears in every issue of the Broadway Maven's Weekly Blast.